Okay, our main topic today is going to be how to save and spend online safely. First, a little bio on myself. I'm known as a PC guy because I have the PC guy license. I'm the son of John Kreuzer here at Carondelet. John's usually here. Unfortunately, John is in the hospital right now. He had some pain in his hip, and he's got a little fracture of the hip. They're doing some more tests there to see if it just some rehabilitation or what'll take place. But
Did he fall?
I have a system set up in his place, and I had gotten emergency contact a week and a half ago. He was getting out of bed and just kind of slid down the side of the bed onto the floor, and then he couldn't prop himself up. And I have it set up in his place where he can just ask Alexa for help, and then it calls me and texts me, and I came right over and I got him up, and I said, now, does anything hurt or anything like that? And no, he just couldn't prop himself up to get to his feet. He could crawl on the floor and that, but he couldn't get himself up there. And so he hasn't had any pain up until this morning. Then he had pain, so almost 2 weeks later. But yeah, we'll see there.
Very common situation.
Yeah, it can happen. The bones are so brittle and. Yeah.
The second time I was in the hospital, they went in.
Yeah, so we'll hope for the best there and that. Okay, I retired from 3M after 40 years at 3M. I retired must be going on 7-8 years ago there. I'm an officer and presenter of the 3M Personal Computing Club for over 40 years. At its peak, we had 1,200 members. I'm going to shut that door. Get a little less noise. Does everyone have a handout? I do have handouts in back there. Is anyone missing a handout or? Okay. I give free computer help or questions or stuff like that. Now you also have Teddy and others where you can schedule time and that. So thankfully there's some resources around here. I mentioned that I'm thrifty. I'm not cheap. So if there's an inexpensive way to do some things or other options, I'll usually list those for people. We have our topic for next month has been set, and a little over a month ago we talked about some email tips and tricks. Well, we didn't quite get through everything, and we were kind of rushed at the end, and people suggested that we talk some more about that. So the one in June 26th will be a continuation to talk about email and different things that you can do. Also, along with my dad and my sister and brother-in-law, we do a Fix-It clinic. We just got done with the one on Monday, so our next one, we usually do it every 2 months. We'll schedule something for July. So if you do have something that breaks, you'll just have to hang on to it for a little bit. I mentioned a little bit earlier about the handouts and video and that. Links to those can be found out at the Carondelet website, and out there we have a calendar of the upcoming meetings. Also these recordings and handouts are out there, and you can even ask some questions out there too. Okay, let's get to our main topic today, which is save and spend online safely. We'll be talking about things what's called P2P, peer-to-peer payments, mobile point of sales, mobile wallets, internet payments, payment links, and mobile banking. So we'll cover a whole bunch of areas there. Many people are concerned that it's risky to bank online, so they miss out on all the benefits that can be had with online banking. And we'll talk about the risks and how you can mitigate them or get rid of them even. With the right apps, the right sites, and tips, you can safely make your life a lot easier. One of the main reasons I got a smartphone years ago was so that I could use an app with the camera on the phone, so all the phones have cameras on there, to deposit checks without having to take it to an ATM or mail it in or go into the bank. So that was one of the main reasons that I wanted a phone at that time. I also use it to transfer money between, I have different bank accounts, I have brokerage accounts, I have CDs, and I can instantly see what's going on in those at any time from anywhere. So as we'll talk, you'll see there's lots of advantage. It can save you trips to the bank. It can save you trips to the ATM. No stamps. Stamps are going up to almost $1 a stamp now, so you can save money by doing a lot of stuff online. You can get notifications so that you're making sure that the charges are truly your charges and not coming from some kind of scam or from somewhere else. And you have that instant access anytime from anywhere. You can use your smartphone, a tablet. If you don't have a smartphone and tablet, a computer, it can save you time. And it's even more secure than using the manual methods, which a lot of people are using today. So if you're putting stuff in the mail today, our mail system isn't as reliable as it used to be. Mail is slow. If you're getting a check from the Social Security and it's supposed to be the first of the month, it may be on the 1st or it may be on the 15th or the 20th of the month. Their delivery schedules are kind of screwed up. People send payments into, let's say, like an Xfinity. Well, again, it may take as little as a day or 2 days, or it may take a week to get to Xfinity. And so all of these things taking place can make it systems that you used to use, manual systems, the mail, writing physical checks, and physical credit cards. All of that stuff can be done digitally and online now. And one of the things certainly making it safer to do this online is encryption. And the encryption both from the banks and from Wi-Fi and from cell phone connections. And so that used to be a big concern of people in the past, is somebody stealing account information or passwords or things like that. And that's virtually gone because of the encryption. And I know people are concerned with the free Wi-Fi here at Carondelet is what's called public Wi-Fi. But when I connect on the public Wi-Fi, so if I use my phone and I use the public Wi-Fi at Carondelet, it's encrypted from my phone to the public Wi-Fi to U.S. Bank or wherever I'm going. So nobody in between can see what I'm doing or see any numbers or anything there. Even though it's public Wi-Fi, it's still encrypted and not visible to anybody.
What is encrypted?
Encrypted is just a code. If it's not encrypted, alphabet you could see A through Z. When it's encrypted, it's scrambled so that it isn't the letter A, it's zeros and ones, and it's scrambled. And the only way to unscramble it is to unencrypt it at the other end. And anybody in between who may be able to see it is going to see just ones and zeros. They have no idea what the value really is. This is a little tidbit that I put out there, because frequently I'll have people say to me, I'm scared of online banking. I don't want a hacker, or I don't want anyone to take over my account and to do bad things there. And I have to explain to them, I said, well, the fact that you're not setting up and using online banking and these apps and stuff like that, you're more vulnerable to a scammer or a hacker, because with just a little bit of information, that scammer and hacker, let's say over in Russia or India, can use your information to set up an account with U.S. Bank for your checking account, because you haven't set it up. As long as they know a few bits of information, they can set, it's relatively easy to set up a new account if you have a few pieces of information, and that's what these hackers have then. So they'll set it up, and even though you've never been online and never connected to your bank, the hacker can get into your accounts and take them over there. So you actually are better to set up access to these accounts, put in your security and passwords and things like that, so that a hacker doesn't try and set it up and take over your account. Okay, first we'll talk about banking, credit cards, and websites. So most of the routine tasks that are done at a bank branch can be accomplished quickly and easily on your phone, your tablet, or your computer. You can deposit a check at any time from anywhere by simply taking a photo of the check. That's, like I said, that was one of the reasons I loved a phone. Is if it was at 10 o'clock at night, I could deposit a check. Or if it was on the weekend, I could check my bank, I could see the past transactions, I could deposit checks, I could move money around, I could do all that, and I wasn't controlled by, well, the bank wasn't open, or it was only open in the morning on Saturday and not in the afternoon, and so you can save yourself a lot of trouble there. Other features include checking balances, getting notifications. So I get notifications whenever there's, in my checking account, whenever there's any activity, or in my credit card, whenever there's a charge, I see them immediately. So instead of waiting to the end of the month and getting a statement and going, I don't remember that charge, or I don't remember going to that place, I see it immediately, and there's to me it's a nice feature to have there. You can also pay bills, and you can also transfer funds. Online banking can be a time saver because you're not having no opening paper bills. Now you can continue to get statements and that in the mail, but most people choose not to get it because that's always after the fact. At any time, I can go out to my phone and I can see my current balances, I can see the transactions that have cleared, I can see all that stuff there. I don't have to write checks, so before, when I was having to order new checks and things like that, I don't know, nowadays I think I go through maybe 10, 15 checks a year. That's it. I just don't write checks. They're very rare there. And then you can save yourself money with stamps and envelopes and things like that. You can also set up your accounts to automatically pay bills each month, such as rent, mortgage, and utility bills. And if you already authorize certain vendors, like a cable provider, to pull money from your bank account electronically, you can also do what's called pushing payments to the Xfinities or to the Carondelet for the web. In the past, most people, when you'd sign up for payments, you'd give your checking account information to, let's say, like a Carondelet, so that they could take the money out each month then out of the account. That's what's called a pull. So this company pulls money out of your bank. Well, you can also do what's called a push, where you don't give Carondelet your banking information. You tell your bank every month, send Carondelet electronically this payment for this amount, and you can set it up and it'll automatically go there. So, and that's an option that you can do. Most people still do the poll where they give the information to the company, but you can do this push also. Okay. Some examples of this are almost every bank and every financial institution has apps or websites that you go out to. So U.S. Bank, Wells Fargo, Fidelity, and literally thousands of financial companies out there. The cost to do this, there usually is no cost beyond the standard maintaining your bank account. So if you have a checking account at, let's say, U.S. Bank, there's no additional fee to load the U.S. Bank app and have access to all these features and functions. Some of the risks. Well, the biggest risk is that your device is lost or stolen and somebody has access to your money. But as we've talked about in some of the previous presentations, there's precautions or things that you can do. So to protect your device, we have a lot of information on these devices. You want to make sure that you do have security settings turned on. And these security settings are things like to automatically lock your device. So mine is locked. Right now somebody stole my phone, or I left it here and somebody took it. They wouldn't be able to get into it, so they wouldn't be able to get at anything that I have on my phone. Just as we've talked about in the past, setting up security so that a person who picks up the phone has to either use a fingerprint or facial recognition or a PIN to get into it, you're protecting yourself there. And there's multiple ways, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. The other thing we've talked in the past presentations about is, since these devices can contain a large part of your life, telephone numbers, contacts, banking information, all this stuff, it's a case of if somebody does truly steal your phone, you want to have a way that you can disable it or turn it off. And all of these phones have that capability. So that's another thing that protects you if you know that your phone has been stolen or lost. Most of the banks and financial institutions require what's called 2FA, which stands for two-factor authentication. That's either sending you a text message or going to your email and putting in a code or things like that. That second way of verifying that it's really you. So that's used by a lot of places to protect you. Another new thing, and we talked, I forgot how many presentations ago, we talked about this new stuff called passkeys. And passkeys is another way to protect you without using passwords. So that's being used by a lot of companies now. And it just protects you and your phone a lot more there. I mentioned before, the other way to protect you is most of these apps and things like that will let you set up notifications whenever there's a withdrawal from your account or a charge on a credit card, so that you know instantly instead of waiting 30 days or 60 days for it to come in a bill. Finally, to protect yourself, we talked about passwords. Passwords, we still have to deal with passwords, but you want them to be unique, you want them to be complex, and you can use systems like a password manager, and I've recommended Bitwarden. Okay, this is an example. This isn't my accounts. I'm not going to show my accounts. This is generic accounts out here, and this is examples from U.S. Bank. So if you're using the US Bank app or website, because again, if you don't have a smartphone, you can do everything, almost everything on your laptop or desktop. When you create your account for US Bank, if you have a checking account, you can see the balances. If you have a savings, if you have a credit card or a debit card from them, if you have CDs from them, you'd see all that information here. And at any time you can click and you can go and see the detail, what transactions, where are the deposits, where are the withdrawals, where is stuff, and you get that instant access at any time. When you do a mobile deposit, you're using the camera on the phone. You take a picture of the front of the check and the back of the check and click one button so you can deposit checks in literally 20 seconds or so. You're done depositing a check. So that's nice. You're dealing with financial, stock market, pension plans for IRAs, buying and selling stock. Again, the apps out there will tell you instantly how you're doing. You can check past histories. You can do almost anything on there. Okay, next let's talk about P2P, which stands for peer-to-peer payments. These are apps or utilities to help you pay for things without using physical cash or credit cards, and you can usually pay with merchants, with friends, and with family. Once you start transferring money to friends and family and others, it's hard to believe that you've ever got along without it. There's no need to go and get cash, or you look in your wallet or your purse and you don't have change or things like that. You can do away with all that using these P2P apps there. So you don't have to go to the ATM, don't have to go to the bank to get bills and stuff like that to pay. P2P apps usually are used to transfer between people that you know, so friends and family and things like that, but also a number of small businesses use them and accept payments. Some of the more, if you've ever been to a farmer's market, most farmer's markets will take these P2P transactions and that now. I mentioned here the 3M Personal Computing Club. I still present at and do. We do our dues. So if somebody wants to pay their dues, they don't have to write us a check. They can send us $8 is our dues for the year. They can send that information to us, and it saves the person having to write the check or carry cash around, and then for us to have to deposit the cash and things like that. Also, I do a garage sale. At my garage sale, I accept 4 different ways that you can pay in addition to cash. Cash I'll always take, but if you have one of these other P2P ways of paying, can use that to also pay, which makes it nice because then people don't have to run to an ATM machine to get cash, to bring it back, or maybe they say, trust me, I'll write you a check. Trust me that this is a valid check and it won't bounce. So, well, the P2P is much safer for me and works for everybody there. Also, whenever I go out to eat, I was out to eat with several friends yesterday. There was 4 of us, and when it came time to split the bill, we didn't all take out our wallets and try and figure out, okay, now let's see, you had this and you had that, and oh, all I've got is 20, so how much change, or who's got this? None of that goes on. You figure it out. You can figure it out to the penny, and I can hit one button and I can send my payment to whoever in the group, and they have it immediately. Don't have to mess with the change or anything. Some of the examples of this, if you have an Apple iPhone, you already have it built into the operating system. It's called Apple Wallet. You may have heard of other names, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, Square, and literally hundreds of other apps and ways to send money between people. The cost of these, it's usually nothing, but there are a few important exceptions. If I'm using one of these peer-to-peer payment systems and I use a credit card, the credit cards, if you're not familiar, most businesses get charged like 3% for credit cards. So these P2P will either take that off of money that you're receiving or add it on to money that you're sending there. So there can be a charge for credit cards. There usually is no charge for a checking account or a bank account there. There also could be a charge between 0.5% and 1.75% if you want that money available instantly. Otherwise, if you don't want it instantly, the money will technically show, you'll see a transaction, but it's pending, and it won't actually show up into your account. It could take 1 to 3 business days to actually show up in your account. Now, Zelle is an exception to both of these cases. It doesn't allow credit cards, and there's instant access to your funds in there. And Zelle is tied in. If you have a Wells Fargo account, you already have a Zelle account. So a lot of people, I tell them that, and they go, no, I don't have a Zelle account. And I said, yes, you do have a Zelle. You aren't using it, but everyone who has a Wells Fargo account has a Zelle account. Okay, some of the risks. If you type in the wrong address, you could be sending money to the wrong person or to a wrong person. So if I've never sent money before to a person and I ask Marla here, I'm going to pay Marla, and I mistype your email address or your telephone number or whatever is used for your account, and I'm off by 1 digit, I've just sent it to a completely different person. That's a bad thing because, as you'll see, it's hard to get it back once you send it to somebody that it shouldn't. So you do have to be careful when the first time that you send money to people. As I mentioned here, in most cases, the app generally won't reimburse the user. So unlike a credit card or a bank, if you contest it or that, you may get the money back or have it returned. These peer-to-peer don't have these mechanisms in place or these checks in place. And these places usually, nor will they help you if you're tricked into sending money by a scammer. So we talked before about scams where they request money, and frequently they'll use these because they know that it's next to impossible for people to get money back once you've sent the money to them. Many of the legal rights that you have with a credit card or a check from a bank don't exist with these peer-to-peer payments. Also, funds left in your peer-to-peer account may not be insured by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. As they would a normal bank account, you're insured up to, I think, $250,000. Most of these systems, if you had thousands of dollars in there and the company went bankrupt or that, you'd lose that money that's in there. But there are precautions that you can take before sending money to anyone. Confirm the recipient's identity and the telephone numbers, the email address or the QR code. Also, let's say it's if it was a nephew of mine, well, I could have the nephew send a request for, let's say he wanted $1,000. He could send a request to me, and then I can approve it and it send $1,000 back to him. So there if I was sitting next to them or that, you see it immediately, the money moving back and forth there. So there are ways to do it. The other thing you can do is consider sending a $1 test payment to confirm that it was received before sending thousands of dollars or that in these apps. You can also, at any time, move money into your peer-to-peer account or out of your peer-to-peer account. So I don't keep a lot of money in my peer-to-peer account. I keep it in my bank and my checking account, so I don't keep a lot of money in these accounts. You can also turn on all identity verification options in the app. Also, they recommend here, don't broadcast to the world everyone that you send money to. So there's options in some of these apps to post it out to Facebook and to some of these other social media that this is how much money I'm making. Look at all these people sending me money. And it's not giving out account numbers, but it's saying, well, Joan just paid $100 or sent me $100. I wouldn't recommend that, and this doesn't recommend that. We'll talk a little bit later about that too. This is an example of the screen in Venmo. So you can have multiple accounts in Venmo. So you can have your regular one. Venmo and some of these peer-to-peer also let you buy and sell cryptocurrency. So you can, if that's your thing, you can do that within the apps. You can also do some planning. So let's say you're going on a vacation and you're going there with 3 other families, and one person is going to be buying the plane tickets, and another is doing the hotel, and another is doing the car, and you can create kind of this group where you can put money into it, and you can pay, so each family can be putting money in and taking money out as needed, which works out real good. Because again, the whole deal behind this is that you're not carrying cash around. You're not having to open up a wallet or a purse and pay for everything every time. You just settle up within these apps how much money you owe this family, and this is they paid for the car rental, and that was so much. And you can see, like in this example, here's their Tahoe vacation. This person took $75 out. This person added $134. So you can move money back and forth literally within seconds there. Okay, next we'll talk about wallets, a digital wallet. But before we get to the digital wallet, we all have physical wallets or physical purses. Could be a purse, could be a wallet there. And one of the Seinfeld episodes I liked had Jerry, the neurotic neighbor there, playing George Costanza, had a wallet that was just jam-packed full of coupons and different things there. And Jerry would call it his filing cabinet. And one day he's walking down the street, and this is a short, like 20-minute video. Let's take a quick look here. So George is walking down the street, sees a coupon. Oh, come on here. Oh, not going full screen. Oh, he sticks it in his billfold. His billfold's pretty big there. All of a sudden it blows up, and everything is going all over the place. And I think we all know people that have the billfolds that are too big there, or the purses that have all kinds of things in there. The digital wallets are meant to help there. So your physical wallet or your purse that you carry around can be leaner and meaner to crooks if you start using these digital wallets instead. A digital wallet can hold credit cards, debit cards, health insurance cards, medical cards, gift cards, loyalty cards, coupons, driver's license, digital event tickets, airline boarding passes, hotel keys, and can even be used to start a number of cars nowadays. So you don't have to carry all that other stuff around. It's all digitally in here. For most people, a digital wallet also serves double duty as their peer-to-peer payment app. So built in there is the ability to send and receive money into the wallet. You can pay at stores by waving the device at the credit card reader. So when I go down to Lund's and I check out, I just take out of my pocket, I have it scan my fingerprint, it opens up my phone, and then I just do this. I don't take a physical credit card out. In less than a second, I hear a bing on their cash register that it sent the payment information directly from my phone to Lund's there. Now, most phones can do this, although there are some cheaper Android phones that don't support this technology. This technology is called NFC, for near field communication, or for contactless payment. So if you're replacing a phone and you want that capability, you do want to make sure that the phone supports NFC. But most phones over $150 support NFC, so that you could load your credit cards and things like that on there. Another huge advantage, so instead of, unlike a physical credit card that you take out, your phone and account data are protected by passwords, by biometric, either a face scan or a fingerprint or that, and encryption if they fall into the wrong hands. So when I pass this over down at Lund's, let's say I bought $50 worth of groceries. That $50 purchase sits in the Lund's database so that Lund's gets paid $50. It does not have my credit card number. It has a number that's a one-time use number so that Lund's will get paid. But if somebody broke into Lund's immediately and got that number, they couldn't use it anywhere else in the world because that number was only good for one transaction, specifically to Lund's and to nobody else. So in the past where we've had data breaches where Best Buy or other, they've broken in and gotten credit card numbers, and then they tell people, well, you have to go get a new credit card and things like that. If you're using your digital wallet and this contactless payment, you never have to replace credit cards because your number is not getting exposed. Lund's does not know what my credit card number is. And yet I can pay without taking out physically a credit card. So it's really kind of nice. The store has sent a one-time use card number so that the credit card is never exposed in a data breach. Examples of these are if you have an Apple product, it's Apple Wallet is the digital wallet. Google has something called Google Pay, and if you have a Samsung phone, they'll call it Samsung Pay. Cost, usually nothing, although if you are going to use it for that peer-to-peer paying, as we talked about earlier, if you're sending credit card, there may be a 3% fee for sending stuff like that. Some of the risks, someone steals or unlocks your phone. Again, we talked about ways to make sure that your phone is secure, that you are using fingerprint or face or PIN so that somebody who steals your phone won't be able to get into it. If you're, one of the risks, though, is let's say your phone dies. So if I'm on vacation and it dies or gets trampled by a rhinoceros and I don't have any plastic credit cards, I've got a little bit of a problem. But if there's a telephone store around or a phone store around, I could just buy a new device, have all my apps and all my accounts put on the new device and be back up and going maybe a couple of hours or something like that. So I mention this, but really it's better than a physical. If you lost your wallet and had to get the credit cards replaced, you have to wait for the credit card company to first they cancel your credit cards, then they send you out new credit cards, and that may take a few days or a week to get that kind of stuff. Another risk is some of the stores have not upgraded to the contactless payment. So not every store has the technology for you to be able to wave your phone, but the majority of the stores out there, especially the bigger chains and newer stores, do have the contactless payments. Some of the precautions you can take, make sure security settings are on your phone so that if it's lost, you can keep it safe. Also, keep a separate list of the cards on your digital wallet that I have in here. I also keep the list of the cards in my password manager, and that has the telephone number if I do have to contact like my bank or my credit card company. I have all that information that I could contact them if I can use any computer anywhere. This is an example here of the Apple Wallet. So when you open it up, if you have you can have multiple credit cards or credit cards, gift cards. You load anything up on there. This is also showing a couple of plane tickets on here. And if you click on any of these, it'll show you your latest transactions. So all the transactions that you've done, you can see that. If I click on any of these plane tickets, so let's say I was going on a trip, I click on that, and this is what gets scanned for me to board the plane. And nowadays, if you go to a Twins game or a Vikings game, all of their tickets are digital. You don't have physical tickets anymore. So you need to use devices like this to store these digital tickets, and then when you go to the event, they have scanners where you put your phone and things like that to get the tickets. Okay, next thing is budgeting apps. They can help you track your expenses and information there. They provide snapshots of your financial history, help you save money, and pay off some of your debts there. What works for one person may not work for you, so that's why there's so many different budgeting applications. Some of the examples there are Empower, Every Dollar, Good Budget, Monarch, NerdWallet, Pocket Guard. You may have seen ads on TV for some of these. Rocket Money, You Need a Budget, Quick and Simplify. And nowadays, almost every bank also has a budget feature function in there. So US Bank has it, Fidelity has it. Well, they'll automatically create budgets for you there based on your spending. They help you build and manage your budget by making it easy to track, to visualize, to analyze your spending, and set savings and debt reduction goals. Cost, a few of them cost nothing. Some of them will have a free level, and then they'll charge between $8 to $18 a month for some of them with more robust features. Some of them may also offer a free trial period. So take advantage of that, trying to figure out if it's right for you or that. Most of the banks and credit cards, like I mentioned, will have a free budget feature that they're already doing some of this stuff for you. The risks, again, similar to some of the others. If your phone is lost or stolen, financial information could be exposed, but we know how to prevent that by making sure that we use passwords, two-factor authentication, and set security on the phone. Now, I've talked in the past, I use a package that's a little more sophisticated because I like to track everything. I do that on my desktop computer, but I use a package called GNU Cache. And So there are other packages that a person can use. You also may have heard of an app called Mint. Mint was by a company called Intuit. They quit supporting it last year or the year before. So if you were using that before or had heard of it, you have to, if you want a package, you have to use one of these others. These are just examples here. If you have a Fidelity account, if you go under spending by category report, so they produce a report, spending by category, and it creates a budget for you. If you have a U.S. bank has it under plan and track, and they have a feature called money tracker. And so these are just examples of some of the free services that banks or financial institutions have. And this is an example here. You end up with charts, and it'll show you your detail of what went into the categories, and if it's miscategorized, so let's say you went to Target and it categorized it as household, and you went to Target and bought groceries and you want it to show up in the groceries, you can usually go in and recategorize stuff. So they're very flexible. Okay, let's talk about how to protect your privacy, because with all these things, you do want to be careful with your personal information, and you want to make sure it's used appropriately. You can start by limiting the information on your phone, what your phone shares with the app. So within all these apps that you have on your phone, you're in control over what information the apps can get off of your phone. So to turn on or off those features, if you have an iPhone, you can go into the settings, you can scroll to the apps, and you can choose whether to deny it or allow it. An example of some of that is you may have a U.S. banking app and it wants your location. Well, you don't have to give it your location. It's information for U.S. Bank. It's not really going to do you any good. So some people will automatically give permission to these things without thinking, well, do I really need it or don't I need it? So turning off some of these things. But if you turn off, let's say, the camera, access to the camera, and you're trying to deposit a check, it won't let you deposit a check because it has to use the camera. So that's where when you use security to turn things off, try and figure out what you use and what you really need. And Android has a similar permissions that you can set. Check the privacy settings within the apps as well. I mentioned a little bit earlier, Venmo will publish to Facebook and some of the social media where you're spending money and what you're doing and stuff like that. Well, most people don't want that made public, so you control whether stuff is shared and done, and within each of these apps there may be controls there. Some providers let you opt out of some of these settings when you first set up the account, so when you're going through, don't just click necessarily, maybe read a little bit some of the terms and conditions. Okay, that concludes the presentation. I'll open it up for questions or comments there. Yes?
How do you initially fund the peer-to-peer?
Yeah, I'll repeat the question for the people online, and the question was, how do you fund these peer-to-peer apps? It depends on how you're going to use it to pay. So if I'm going to use a credit card to pay, I set up the credit card within P2P, and every time I transfer money, it's just like a charge to the credit card. So you set that up. If I'm going to use a checking account, I set up the checking account within there, and then again, every time I pay or do something, I choose to move it out of my checking account, my linked checking account. You can, if you didn't want to link it to your checking account, you could transfer, let's say, $1,000 over into the P2P and just let it sit there. So let's say you had kids and you wanted to give them a Christmas present or something like that. If you know their account, you can send them the money directly there. You don't have to give them a check. They don't have to deposit it. They don't have to move it. Once it's in their account, then they can decide what to do with it. If they want to pay something that they owe to their friends, or if they want to buy something on Amazon or eBay, most of those will take these peer-to-peer payment systems, and so you can do a lot of things there. And you can keep money. It is somewhat like a bank account where if you want, you can keep money in there. I don't necessarily recommend that because it's not insured by the federal government, and I prefer to link it to a credit card, and then when I pay or send money to somebody, it's taking it right out of the credit card there. Does that make sense? Or okay. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
When you talked about security, so does that mean that when I use my phone, I should have to plug in a secure code to get into my phone?
Yeah, the question was when you're talking about security. So some people just have their phones, so all they have to do is push the power button or push a button and they're immediately into their phone. That's kind of very risky because even without these banking apps and stuff like that, chances are you have your email on there, so somebody would be able, if they found your phone laying on this chair, they'd be able to open up and look at your email and potentially reset bank accounts and do bad things there. So what you want on your phone is you want to secure your phone, and the securing the phone usually means that you set up what's called a timeout. So if you don't use it for 30 seconds or a minute and do anything, it goes to sleep and locks the screen. So if you accidentally left it or somebody stole it out of your purse, if a crook got it, they wouldn't be able to unlock it unless they had your fingerprint or your face or the PIN to get into your phone.
Is there short ways of how you do that?
I've mentioned in past presentations, it's relatively easy if you go into your settings, and depending on the phone that you have, they're slightly different, but all the phones, whether, I don't know if you have an iPhone or an Android, so regardless of what it is, it depends on the phone then what capability. So some phones don't have the ability to do the face scan or the fingerprint. And those phones, you'd have to use a PIN. And that PIN in the past was a 4-digit code. Well, now most systems support any number of lengths. So usually you want to make that PIN longer, 7 or 8 digits there. Or a gesture, if you've seen people swiping their finger like that, that's a code that you can also lock your phone with and unlock it. So you can set that up, and if your phone supports a fingerprint or that's usually what I recommend people, fingerprint or facial scan. So my phone is here. If I put my finger up there, it opens up. And so I don't have to fumble or things like that to type, or if I'm walking or things like that, I can do it relatively easily there. But my phone will go to sleep. I have it set for, I think, 1 minute. So if I'm not doing anything for a minute, it's the equivalent of turning the power off. Now it's off. Now somebody can't get into it. So if I lost my phone or somebody stole my phone, they wouldn't be able to do anything because they don't have my finger to open it up. Okay? And that's that security that we were kind of talking about, because if you set up these things and you don't have the security, that just means that somebody who found your phone would push the power button and there's all your apps and, oh, I can go into the bank, well, I'll transfer money to my account, or things like that. So you do want to have your phone secured there. And we have so many things out here nowadays with your email and with your contacts and with your banking and even Zesta and stuff like that. There's stuff there that is not public information and shouldn't be available to anybody unless they're the right people there. And that's also true of tablets and things like that. So if you have a tablet, my dad has an iPad, and that's secured that way. You can secure it either with a fingerprint or with a pin, things like that, because, again, he uses the tablet to get at his email and to get at some of his banking and things like that. Well, you don't want somebody that popped into the room to be able to have access to that. So you want, if somebody picks it up, they're going to be stopped right away because they don't know the PIN, they don't have the fingerprint, they can't get into the device. Okay? Other questions or comments? And I don't want to scare people off because there's so many benefits of using this. And if we compare, some people will say, oh, it's awful scary, that somebody could get the phone and get access. And I said, okay, let's look at today. If this is sitting on the bed in my apartment, these are the credit cards. It's much easier for somebody to get your credit cards today out of a wallet or a purse than it is out of a phone or a tablet, especially if it's locked and things like that. So that's where if you use these tools, they are more secure and can make you even that much more secure than not using the tools or having cards and things like that laying around. Okay? Okay, well, thanks for coming, and if you do have any other questions, let me know, and we'll see you next month then. Okay, thank you.